I've already discussed on my channel the idea of changing the format of volleyball matches to make them more suitable for TV broadcasting or at least fit into specific time frames. Volleyball is one of the few popular team sports that doesn't have a fixed duration. Yes, this does add a unique charm to our beloved game, but it also creates several challenges, not only at the professional level but even for amateur games. To make the game more appealing, I've already suggested some rule changes to attract new audiences. Of course, longtime volleyball fans are often skeptical about such ideas. But we should remember that volleyball has undergone many changes. As I mentioned in one of my videos, volleyball is constantly evolving, and many of the rules we take for granted today once seem strange. You can check out the video on the history of volleyball in the recommendations for this one. I decided to revisit the topic of change after reading an interview with the legendary Russian libero, now head coach of Zenit-Kazan, Alexey Verbov, which he gave to Business Online. There was a lot of interesting stuff in that interview, but in this video I'll focus on his thoughts on rule changes and game format adjustments. I'll give a detailed breakdown of each of Verbov's suggestions, and I'd love to hear your thoughts as well. So, as always, let's dive in. Let's go! So, what was Alexey Verbov's first suggestion for popularizing volleyball? He proposed shortening sets to 15 points to increase the number of thrilling endings. Sometimes a team builds a huge lead early on, and the rest of the set becomes almost meaningless. Although, if we look at last season, there were many instances where teams made big comebacks after trailing at the start of the set. Still, I agree that a shorter set format could add more suspense to the game. If volleyball adopts this shorter set format, Verbov suggests increasing the number of sets to 7. While this idea is intriguing, it might once again lead to unpredictable match durations. For example, in the Indian League, they always play 5 sets of 15 points regardless of the score. The more sets you win, the more points you earn in the standings. This keeps the winning team on its toes throughout the match, even after winning 3 sets. It also provides a more consistent match duration, which fits better into TV schedules. That said, the idea of 7 sets might only be relevant for knockout matches, where the result is more important than points in a table, like in the Olympic system, where the winner is decided in a single match. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on a new match format. How do you imagine it? And just to make it more interesting, let's agree not to mention the current format. We're here to brainstorm new ideas, and who knows, maybe together we'll come up with something revolutionary. My dear friend, if you'd like to help support the channel, you can become a sponsor or send a donation. The links will be in the video description. Thank you so much for your support. Another interesting rule change suggested by the Zenit-Kazan coach is banning overhead passes. In men's volleyball, if this rule were implemented, the game would resemble the women's version, where fewer players use powerful serves and more opt for float serves. This would reduce service errors and lead to longer rallies instead of frequent pauses between serves. Verbov believes that if more players switched to float serves, it would give shorter players, who tend to be more agile and have better footwork in receiving, more opportunities to shine at the highest level. This would also allow coaches more flexibility with tactical rotations. We can take some inspiration from beach volleyball, where it's technically challenging to receive with an overhead pass. You either make a perfect pass or lose the point due to a violation. Though this rule has its subjective aspects, I think it's an intriguing idea. Watching a string of aces mixed with timeouts or consecutive errors can kill the excitement of even the most intense match. So, such a change would definitely enhance the viewing experience. Do you agree or do you see it differently? I'd love to hear your detailed thoughts on this. Now, one thing I definitely think should be eliminated is tipping. There's been a long-running debate about this, but nothing significant has changed. When we think of tipping, the first association for many is Klebeno at the Olympics. Almost every one of his tips raise questions. It's hard to avoid subjectivity here, so it's easier to remove it from the game entirely rather than try to fit it into specific guidelines. Instead, players could use roll shots or something like the pokey in beach volleyball. This would increase the game's excitement and reduce the number of questionable referee decisions. Another thing that doesn't add to the spectacle is the whistle for a technical error on a set. As I mentioned in a previous video, many fans don't understand the criteria for these calls. It often causes confusion rather than approval from the audience and players. If a set is done poorly, it's usually already a bad pass, so why punish it further and disrupt the game's flow? Sometimes the technical complexity of volleyball can deter new players and viewers. And let's not forget, this isn't just the opinion of a volleyball enthusiast anymore. It's coming from a respected, qualified and decorated player and coach. Lastly, Verbov suggests removing the rule about touching the net. There used to be a rule where only touching the top of the net was considered a violation, which makes a lot of sense. Often brief touches on the bottom or middle parts of the net don't affect the game at all, so why waste time on endless reviews of minor touches that only slow down the game? Under my previous video, many people commented that removing the net touch rule would lead to more aggressive play and increase the risk of injury. But don't forget that the rule about crossing the center line remains in place, which prevents players from running into the opposing team's side. And a slight touch of the net isn't going to hurt anyone. This is how Alexey Verbov envisions the future of volleyball. Considering that the current rules are set until 2024, we might soon see some of these changes. Be sure to share your thoughts on the proposed changes from this video and feel free to suggest your own innovative ideas to improve our beloved game. As always, I'm Nick. Love what you do and success will follow. See you soon. Take care.